morning to everyone. Be'ezrat Hashem, Mincha is going to be 7:45. Today is the 21st day of the Omer, which is 3 weeks. As we were mentioning yesterday, the Halacha in Hazon Ovadia writes that there's a difference between wheat and barley, that wheat is not Muktze versus barley, which is Muktze. And we said the reason is because wheat is considered to be edible, and barley is not edible for human consumption, only for animal consumption. There is a question on this, and some have raised the question since yesterday and today as well, that, wait a second, even if barley is not for human consumption, but still, it's for animal consumption. And we learned that anything that's not fit for human consumption, but is fit for animal consumption, should not be muktze because it has a usage on Shabbat. It is mutal to feed your animal on Shabbat. It is required to feed your animal on Shabbat. So therefore, the barley should also not be muktze. And why did Rav Ovadia write that barley is muktze? It's a great question. It seems to be that Rav Ovadia is talking about a circumstance where the barley was not made for the animals. Meaning, in the Gemara's time, they would use barley primarily for animals. But today, primarily when a person goes to the store and he buys barley, he's not buying it for animals. It's made for people. It's just that it's raw and you cannot eat it raw. You have to cook it before you use it. So in that type of a scenario, which is the typical scenario that we have today, where we're not giving it to our cows and we're not giving it to our goats, we're eating it. So then it comes back to the halacha that it's not meant for animal consumption, and in terms of the human consumption, which is what its purpose is, what it's designated for, a person cannot have it raw, and therefore Rav Ovadia wrote it as muktze. What is interesting is in the other direction, regarding the wheat, even though Rav Ovadia wrote that wheat is not muktze, the situation he's talking about is, and it used to be that when they would harvest wheat has stages, and you would harvest the wheat when it was fully developed, but it didn't begin drying, and then they would harvest the wheat. And that wheat, the kernels of wheat, then when you harvest it at that point in time, it's very moist. It has a moisture in it, and it's edible as it is. It tastes good. Today, when you go to the store and you say, I'm going to buy kernels of wheat, I'm going to buy grains of wheat, what you're buying is something very hard. It's like hard corn when you buy it. It's the same thing. And pearl barley, everybody knows how hard that is. So therefore, it's really, you think to yourself, you say, this isn't edible. No one's going to be eating that. It's tough. It's very hard. It needs to be cooked for a long time until it softens up. That type of a wheat, the reason why it's like that is because they wait on the harvest until it's fully dried. They have various reasons why they do it. And the kernel itself dries while it's attached to the ground. After some time, it dries up and it becomes a lot harder. It's easier for them to grind it. It's easier for them to work with it. That's why they do it. So the wheat is harder, and you can't really eat it. So today, actually, the halacha is based on the circumstance. Even wheat that you buy from the store, unless you see that it's really soft, is also muktze. The halacha, therefore, is interesting. Comes out that the barley and the wheat today would be muktze, and even though Rav Ovadia says wheat is not muktze, he is dealing with a situation where the wheat was harvested at an earlier point, at a more, I guess you could say, a week or two before what it is harvested today, and that in itself is able to change the halacha. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.